Good morning.
Thank you for coming to the Finance Committee meeting. First order of business is to approve a couple of weeks ago those committee meeting minutes. Motion made by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're going to move to privilege of the floor will be after. So we're going to jump into the action agenda. Mike Swan, you have a few items here to discuss.
Good morning, everybody. The first item I believe was the Lake Champlain Lake George Regional Planning Board. I was asked to look at that audit and see what we felt was going on with it. We did get a copy of the 2016 draft audit. It's not finalized yet. The report states that there's $2.8 million in loans outstanding as of the 31st of December 2016, with a provision for losses of $480,000. So they're reporting right off the top that they've lost $480,000 of those loans that they have outstanding. In addition, they've noted that there's $1 million, and I'm rounding these figures off a little bit, but there's $1 million, which is 37% of the outstanding loan balance, is no longer accruing interest because management has determined that the principal or that the collection of interest is doubtful. Now, unfortunately, the way the report is set up, we can't tell whether or not these people are actually paying the principal payments or not. But the organization has basically said we're not going to be collecting interest from these $1 million worth of loans. My gut tells me that if they're not paying the interest, they're probably not paying the principal either. But it's not really recorded well in the audit. Okay, so allowance.
Mike,
Yes.
did you just say the first number again, the 480, what did you say?
480,000, well, it's $488,800 is being written off as lost. In other words, those loans, they're assuming that those loans will never be paid. And that's out of the $2.8 million of outstanding loans right now.
Is that their time frame? That's just 1 year worth of stuff, or?
Well, these are loans that I'm assuming that have lasted over a long period of time. And this is something that, I'll jump ahead a little bit while you're asking these questions on the loans. We really don't know anything about these loans the way that the audit is set up. And what we would recommend to the planning board that they do what we call a loan aging report, which shows the outstanding balance for every loan that they have as of December 31st, 2016, and with the original amount of the loan, the current balance, the date of the last payment, and whether or not there's a default. Okay, because that way we'll know exactly what's going on. There's no way in the audit, the way it's done right now, to pull that type of information out.
Well, and that was my question along with Claudia's, is how long does that stem back?
I really can't tell you because all we have is a balance. And the only other thing I can tell you is that the 2015 figures are very similar to the 16. So I mean, it looks like this is ongoing, but without something like that loan balance or that loan aging report, I really can't tell you.
Private Garrity?
Can we send a letter to them asking for that information? I'm sure somebody has to have it for them to come up with that number. There must be a spreadsheet already in place.
Well, I mean, all of these, this is the next thing that I wanted to say, all of these numbers, the auditee, which is the Walter Young, they supply these figures to the auditor, okay? So, and then have to basically sign a statement stating that these figures are accurate that they have given to the auditor. So, you know, and I wasn't here when Mr. Young gave out a figure before, so I don't know what it was, but based on the audit and the fact that you're supposed to sign off on these figures, I would say that these figures for the outstanding loans and so forth are correct in the audit. I mean, I don't have any information that says otherwise, so I don't know what he was talking about when he came before another committee and said that these weren't correct figures. But That's pretty much it.
I just don't know how deep we want to go, but I mean, if the committee feels that we should have that information.
Well, I think that one of the things, I hate to interrupt you, Kevin, one of the things that happens like with the EDC and so forth, they have to do this type of loan aging reports.
We see it with internally, Peter.
I did read, let me just try to respond to that. I did read Rob's comments, and he did indicate that that's specifically what he wanted, was a loan aging report.
Right.
I would think that that would be something that wouldn't take a significant amount of work or time. I think the person that audited the books would probably be able to supply that. So I think that's a reasonable suggestion, and I think that's what we ought to ask for, specifically a loan aging report.
What's the committee's direction? That's an option. We want Mike to go ahead and, is that something you would follow up with, Mike?
I mean, I can. I mean, I would have to say, that based on the request by the Finance Committee, this is information that where we at. I mean, I wouldn't do it on my own.
Right.
With the backing of the committee, absolutely, I would take care of that.
Yeah,
Supervisor Bramer?
I'd like to see that.
Okay.
I will second that. I think we should.
We don't have to make a resolution. We could just have Mike follow up.
No, that's fine.
Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thanks. So, Mike, you put a timeframe on when you expect this done?
I mean, I'll take care of the request here before the end of the week.
No, I wasn't talking about you, but...
I have no idea how long it will take them.
Well, we need it by the next finance.
I mean, if you want to put a deadline on it, then that's great. We'll put it by the next finance meeting, and they'll have to come up with a better.
For the next finance meeting,
So I'm not sure. Well, the next finance meeting. Well, we're kind of close to that one, but yeah, I'll tell them that we got a couple weeks to come up with.
But I got to believe it. It's just a spreadsheet. They can reproduce and send.
Yeah.
What beginning of that? Yeah, May 3rd is next. So gives them a few weeks at least. Okay?
Any other questions about this?
All right, Michael, item B, please.
I got to look at my agenda. I can't remember what item B was. We need to have a source of funding for the Gillette settlement. We put in a resolution request to have the budget amended for the DPW administrative line item. We will need $100,000. I mean, obviously, you've got a choice between contingency and fund balance, so that's the decision of the committee.
Yeah, we have $245 in the contingency account. However, we know that we're only in April, so we don't want to bleed that. Supervisor Garrity?
I'll make a motion. We take it from fund balance.
Okay.
This is proper.
Motion made by Supervisor Garrity, take it out of the fund balance, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Michael, while we have you up there, do you mind jumping to the pending item, please?
Sure. That's concerning the environmental testing fund and the cleaning up at the jail. Mary communicated with me this morning her opinion, which kind of is the same as my opinion about that, but I'll let you go forward with that, Mary.
The resolution specifically states that the Environmental Testing Reserve Fund can only be used for the purposes that it was established, and it was specifically established to finance the cost of restoration investigation products where the county obtains property through the tax foreclosure proceeding, and then they take temporary incidents of ownership under the environmental conservation law. So it's very specific where it can be used, and cleaning up the old jail doesn't fit in any of those categories.
Okay. So what is that funding used for then, Michael? It's
We're
used
using it now for testing. Actually, Real Property Director Lexi has put out, I think she has 3 RFPs out there right now for testing on various sites. We've used probably about $40,000 of that already for testing. Used some of it to do some work up in Johnsburg. So we're using the money, yeah. And depending on, it's funded by the auction, by the tax sale auction. So a percentage of the money that we raise in that auction goes into this fund. So it goes up a little bit every year.
Okay. Chairman?
Now, I was party to establishing that fund, but at the time we established it, because it was based upon tax sales yet to happen, we really didn't know exactly how much revenue we would receive from all of that. Could you just let us know, what's the present balance?
We're just a little bit over 200,000.
Over $200,000. So the only thing I would say to the committee would be that, you know, how much, right? Yeah. So I would hope that at some point we would, we might need to modify what we can and can't use those dollars for, because if we have other community objectives that we're looking to accomplish, maybe at a certain point we need to transfer that money into the general fund. Not all of them, I'm saying, maybe we cap it at 200,000 or 300, whatever is determined to be the adequate amount. But I think the whole purpose, though, is to do the phase 1 and phase 2 environmental studies on properties that have lingered, and we're cleaning those up.
We're working on it.
We don't know how many more we're going to get, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's the problem. And the 3 that we're working on right now could be catastrophic, without saying too much more. So I would say yes, if the fund starts building up too much, yes, we should probably look at it. It's not a good idea to sit on all that amount of money. However, I would ask that we make that decision in about another year or two, because like I said, we have 3 right now that we're working on that could be catastrophic. So I would hate to short us over the next, 24 months.
Supervisor Simpson?
I would just ask, how long is that fund been established?
I set it up when I first came in, so 2012.
Okay, so we really don't have a history to look back to see how much we're gonna end up spending in the future.
No, we don't.
So
Because
it
you don't know
could
which
be,
ones are gonna
you know,
end up.
200 may be a small amount compared to what we're going to be up to.
Yeah. But I think we'll have a real good handle over like I said, the next 24 months, the next 2 years, we'll have a real good handle on what we're going to need and what we're not going to need in that. Because like I said, we got 3 right now that are kind of touch and go.
Yeah.
But I thought the point was that we were going to take temporary ownership of this and then test it, and if there's a problem, we're not going to take ownership of the property. So
Correct.
I guess I don't understand catastrophic.
Well, what we're doing now is that we're working with DEC, and we did this up in Johnsburg, where they basically spent $200,000 trying to clean up the site, and it isn't completed yet, and we paid $15,000 of that. So, but the testing could end up being quite substantial, especially if there's one in Queensbury and another one up in Chestertown that could be, I mean, we could be $40,000, $50,000 in testing, depending on what we need, because the DEC is willing to work with us because we have funds and we're doing some stuff and we're proactive and we're coming to the table with the reports and a little bit of cash to try to work with them, and they're loving that. So we've started to establish a real good relationship with DEC, and I think now we're on the cusp of really getting some of these properties cleaned up.
Just trying to clarify, the site in Queensbury, is that the one on Bay, John?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, good. Thank you.
So, Michael, you're looking for source of funds
No,
for the abatement, or you're not?
No, we're good. The whole question was whether or not we could use these funds to clean up the jail, and,
Yeah.
I guess that's a no. So I'm not looking for any funds for anything.
Okay. Do you have anything to add?
Does that go back to the committee?
I'm
facility
assuming it goes
committee
back to
talk
facilities.
about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
We really feel we need to at least do the asbestos part of that, get that off the table,
Right.
and talk about for years.
A lot of years, ever since I've been here. So, okay. Anything else for our treasurer? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 2, request to be discussed by the county attorney to address the committee regarding settlement agreement.
I did want to address one other thing before I talk about the settlement agreement. Supervisor Bramer had asked me if the opioid litigation had been filed, and I had said no. I went and did some research on the county clerk's website, and it was filed on February 7th.
Thank you.
Okay. The settlement that I need to bring to your attention, in 2009, a suit was commenced against the county and the town of Hague. It was for a negligent design and wrongful death case. Both the town of Hague and the county have general liability insurance. And both policies covered this. So the county started a declaratory judgment action against the town to ask the town to cover the county in this litigation as a additional insured. Since 2009, Selective, which is the insurance company for the town, has been covering all the defense costs, and they recently settled the underlying case, which was Fenimore versus Warren County. We had outside counsel for that because it was covered under insurance, and now the two insurance companies are asking that the county settle, and the settlement would be Selective already paid for all the defense costs, and they will put $400,000 towards the settlement, and NYMER will put $100,000 towards the settlement, and that's the county's insurance on this matter, and the county would have a $10,000 deductible.
So the total settlement was $500,000?
The total settlement for Fenimore versus Warren County was $500,000.
Okay.
We had the county was represented by outside counsel for that, so we're just talking about who's going to cover the costs of the litigation.
And we're responsible for $10,000.
That's a deductible.
Supervisor Garrity?
This is the automobile accident.
It was an automobile accident.
Okay.
Okay, so you need a motion, or a resolution rather, not a motion. Are we all clear on this, or do you have more questions? You look like you have a question, Supervisor Brand.
My face? Oh,
Says
I
it
have no
all.
poker face. Yes, so the settlement, we're paying our deductible so that the insurance will kick in our portion of the settlement money.
Correct.
Towards the $500,000.
Correct.
Yep. Thanks.
Did you have a...
No,
Did
just
you want to
second.
make the resolution?
Yes.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor McDevitt, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Mike, did you have...
Yeah, we'll have to figure this sort of contact years, because I don't think anybody's got this in that budget.
Well, this one we could take out of the contingent if you guys would like.
Yeah. That's fine, I mean, I just, go through the resolution, might as well show.
Is that okay with the committee?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add that to your motion. You good with that, Gene?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Should I abstain on that one? I'm just
It's your
asking.
call, unless you want to be in the paper, girl.
No, I really,
If you're
this
not sure,
happened
abstain.
before I got involved, so just so you know, but I wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Abstain.
No, I don't.
Okay, I'll abstain.
Okay, we have one abstention. Okay, thank you, Mary. Moving on, item 3. This was discussed in personnel. We need to move this. This was the appointment of the Superintendent of Public Works at a salary of $105,000. Motion made by Supervisor Simpson, seconded by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Anyone from the committee? Okay, privilege of the floor. Anyone? Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Supervisor Molino, second by Supervisor Frazier. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,